All right, we're back. We're back on a
With a
Wednesday.
K, not a C.
Yeah. Did I write with just a K, dude? I am fried, man. Today was one of those days at work. I'm going to be gone from work for the next I won't be home till Monday basically because I'm going to be working the booth for Mod and I'm kind of fried from extra work. I never thought I'd be able to be fried from office work.
It's like
But
mentally uh, demoralizing.
it is. It's weird because I
Yeah.
mean, we'll get to that in a minute. But hey, guess what? We have another sponsor. Actually,
Ooh.
it's our consistent sponsor. It's the Southern Minnesota RC Raceway. The next race they are advertising is the Ironman race coming up on 8/3. One seeding round and three mains. Lowest score wins, awards and giveaway. $20 per class. Sportsman, e-buggy, Andy Truggy, Nitro Buggy, Nitro Truggy, open tent scale, supermoto dirt bikes, fifth scale. There's going to be concessions. There's bathroom and power available. Track opens at 8:30 a.m. Races start at 11 a.m. So yeah, man, come check out the Iron Man. I went to their race last week, the Dash for Cash event, and I think the weather the week prior scared people away because well, basically in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa they've been flooding. Basically the grounds at southern were flooded except they got the track really nice. The track was it was super nice all day long. I was so happy that I went. So yeah, guys, go check out Southern Minnesota RC Raceway on Facebook. The Ironman is coming up 8/3. It's in Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. Hey guys, what's going on? Brian's in here, Del Judas, Cam. Got a lot of on road guys. Well, Cam's 50-50.
Hmm.
Oh, we got Theodore, aka Juggalo. He's no Cam, it's not Sunday. Cam's, yeah.
Matt is the host of the Motive Midwest On-Road series, which he just announced the dates and locations for.
Dude, I'm pumped. We'll have to hit that sometime because he's Illinois guy, right?
Yeah, he's from I want to say around Chicago, one of those like cities around Chicago.
Yeah. Dude, I love when he comes to Minnesota and races. And Brian was at Dollar Racing this winter as well. Brian, I don't know when Jeff Choban's coming out with the fall schedule. You got to talk to Jeff. Jacob Schweisberger checking in. Cam is running his pavement on road car. Yeah, Brian's saying Chicago Burbs. So what's going on? You sent me a screenshot earlier or Sunday actually
Hmm.
of just ridiculous efficiency.
Yeah, it was my first official 99 plus percent consistency run uh, on a large asphalt track, larger than the world's asphalt track, probably one of the largest sizes in the U.S.
Yes.
So it was really cool. I would have had another 99% consistency run before that, but one of my competitors on the last lap thermaled on the
Yeah.
straightaway. I had to take some evasive maneuvers, and I got like an 80, or excuse me, a 98, like 7 or something like that.
Okay.
So
J-
almost.
Jacob's wondering about, did you hear about the Iowa series? I just glanced at it, Jacob. I was going to put it in my news. Send me a message with the dates. I know there's a flyer out there. Dude, you were telling me It was 110-degree heat.
Hmm.
110
On
degrees.
the track.
Yeah. So your equipment, your ESC must have been 220, 230, because I think 250 is really that meltdown area for an ESC.
We're gonna find out. Uh, because it was so hot after the main that I picked up my car and I like, the kind of all the electronics are hanging off the on-road cars now.
Yeah.
So I picked up my car and I touched, I think, the ESC, and it was hot enough that I dropped the car.
Brian says everyone in Minnesota busy building new 12 scale kits. We are a 12 scale state. If I were to come back though, I drove a 25.5 touring car at one of the races that I announced at Dollar. I really enjoyed it because, well,
You're old.
I'm old and you have to be perfect. You really do.
Yeah, I guess, but it's not that it's so easy. It's a lot easier to be perfect
I
in
like the feel.
25.5.
Oh, absolutely it is because it's slower. But I
Yeah.
love the feeling of a 25.5 touring car over the feeling of a VTA car.
It's the tires. The
It is.
body helps too, but I think if you put like touring car tires on a VTA body, it would be pretty good.
Yeah,
But the new Protoform tires are supposed to be pretty decent. I
sure.
haven't ran those, so I can't speculate on that.
So Cam's wondering, how do the tires hold up in that heat?
Well, it depends on the tire you're running and the sauce you're running. Right now, I'm practicing for the Worlds. So we're using the World Spec tire and the World Spec sauce, which is the Sweep 3036, which I believe is a 36 shore tire, and the Mighty Gripper V3 yellow.
Yep.
And in trying to do our best to accommodate World's rules, we are cleaning / saucing the tires one race before that, so we get about a 6-minute soak time, but it's really like 5 because you got to dry out the tires.
Yep.
We've found that the drier the tires on the pavement, the better. The more quickly they come in, I guess. So you could get away with like one practice lap, add two, but you like 2 practice laps is pretty good. So
On that big of a track, you're sucking battery.
no.
Really?
Yeah, it's okay. So I'll talk about that. So Cam, we get about between 5 and 8 runs on tire, and those are 5-minute runs.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff. So the battery milliamp we're using is a 5,000.
Yep.
I'm using a 5200. And I'm almost at the point now where I'm considering going to a 6,000 because the amount of milliamp I'm pulling out of these batteries every run. So I'm pulling 4,100 milliamp out in a 5-minute
That's
run.
significant. So you're plugging in the pack and you're probably at like a 7.2. For
3.7
So you're
tube
7.4,
cell.
7.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
I was sitting here thinking, I never thought in a million years on this podcast that we would be talking about A, electric touring car on road, and B, dirt oval. But
those are
that's
like I mean,
no, I like it because I'm actually interested in this. I am interested in mod touring car on pavement. I really am.
yeah.
Or otherwise, I won't be asking you questions. It's like, you race, cool. Let's talk about something else. I'm actually interested in this.
Brian, that averages out to 45 amps continuous.
That is crazy.
Oh, and it does matter to heat your batteries in that, and that's probably the only reason I'm not getting any fade.
Okay.
So my batteries in the shade are like 75.
Yep.
And I did the testing at home versus a discharge. So I did a 35, not a 45 amp discharge, but versus a heated and unheated pack, and they both finished at the same temperature, about 140. Um, after well, this was down to 3.6 volts per cell, so just about where I'm taking it now.
Sure.
So that didn't to affect the temperature. I don't understand exactly why, but it doesn't for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah. So I have an off-topic question. Do you rent Airbnbs often?
No. I rented a couple on our honeymoon.
Well,
Actually.
I rent Airbnbs here and there when I actually remember to do it instead of get a cheap motel because you usually get a decent place to stay for the same amount. This lady, dude, I'm going to have fucking problems. Mark my words on it. She has emailed me 5 times today telling me to check the 3-ring binder in the house. You know there's going to be insane instructions in there, and I'm going to take pictures. Dude,
Yeah.
I've never, I mean, I see you get like 2 or 3 emails coming up towards the reservation. I've never received 5 in one day.
Yeah, I normally like one email or text like the day of, like here's the house code or
Yes.
here's your door code or what, like you're staying in 1A, here's the
Yeah,
code or something like that.
right. Like I said, so I'm helping with the broadcast for Mod Media for the INS this weekend in Omaha at the Hobbyplex. That's going to be a blast. I was going to race a class, but I
You
kept
just
looking at,
commented?
yeah, I looked at my car and I'm like, I like it the way it is. I don't want to make it into a dirt car. And then I looked at building a dirt car. And I'm like, nah. So I'm going to be in the booth with Matt Olson. I'm sure Alex and I will switch seats here and there, and I'll be running I'll be announcing the actual race here and there as well because I do okay at that. But yeah, I'm excited, but I am freaked out with this Airbnb, dude.
It'll be okay.
I know. I'm just worried that I'm going to get all these weird extra charges on my account. Like he didn't
If
throw
if
he
it's
didn't throw away the trash correctly. That type
if
of
it's
thing.
bad after the first day, you can leave. It depends on like what the stipulations are, but most of the time you can get your money back
Yeah.
because
Well,
the like lady's being crazy or something.
yeah. And the pictures, it looks like a decent place and it has good reviews. It's just a lot of emails. And she ends the emails instead of saying like sincerely blah blah, she writes with Meta. I'm like, what does that mean?
She's
I had a
probably using an automated service to generate the emails.
God, you know, I hope so. I
Maybe she
really hope.
messed up. Maybe she meant to send it one time and she sent it 5 times.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
true. That's true. So anyway, yeah, I went
Did you go
racing.
racing this last weekend? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Go ahead.
yeah. I went racing. I went racing the past 2 weekends. I went to the Firecracker at Full Throttle Raceway. Is another great day of racing. It rained a crap ton before, but that track likes rain. Like the service roads around the driveways and all that crap were absolutely flooded, but the track was wonderful, dude. The work, man. I mean, the work all the track owners put in is awesome, but the work Sean Van Dalen put in because he took out that not silly, he built a Dragon's back for Seth for Silver State, and he was going to take it out right away. But, life comes up. We've had a ton of rain. He couldn't get it taken out. So we raced a couple races with the Dragon back, and that was difficult. The wind was so hard that I broke my pop up, and yeah,
Ugh,
the leg of my pop up snapped. Um,
damn, dude.
yeah, the wind was so bad it was parachuting my 40-pound fifth scale truck. Yeah. Oh, Kyle's got a question for you. What do you think about the regenerative discharger versus a normal discharger?
Well, that is a loaded question. How much time do we have, Joe?
Should I keep talking about my race day and you can come up with
I have an answer now, but go for it. Yeah, you finish your thing, and then we'll discuss that
but
if you would
anyway,
like.
um I won fifth scale at FTR, took third at 35 plus. I didn't race regular truggy because it was a short race day and it would have been hell. Um I was and then in the last weekend race at Southern Minnesota RC Raceway, their Dash for Cash race. Dude, they had a food truck there serving barbecue. It was awesome. I won $75. I raced fifth scale only. I was going to race A scale as well, but I looked at my truck and I'm like,
Oh,
oh, that's all
sorry.
right. That's all right. I looked at my truck and I'm like, I don't have it. I don't have the want to get this ready this weekend. So that sat on the shelf. And then we raced actually the race after FTR. In between this, we did parking lot racing in my hometown with some Traxxas slashes. I think
Mhm.
I ended up fifth. And then
Did you
I
take
my boy,
yeah.
yeah, Joe 3.
Hmm.
Yeah, I took him with. He didn't make the A main, but that's okay because parking lot racing, it doesn't matter.
Having
Um,
fun?
yeah, just having fun. Well, my buddy who runs it, Chris, he let me race a Traxxas rally car. It
Hmm.
wasn't half bad. Um, it was a lot of fun to race. So, the Traxxas rally car is basically a 4x4 slash with the LCG chassis and short arms. I don't know. If I had extra RC money, which I do not, I would buy one, but I have to get a dirt late model for this winter. So, anyways, back to Kyle's question. Since racing's, we got time because we got a few news stories, but we're not totally loaded.
So I'm gonna try to give answers based specifically off data.
Okay,
So this isn't like hearsay. This isn't I think. This is data done in the most scientific way possible.
numbers.
Right. I'm basing what I say off of those numbers. I can provide those numbers. You can go watch the YouTube video on Doc and RC's YouTube page. It's our second video. It's an hour long. It sucks to watch, but it breaks down the whole process.
It's kind of like
Uh,
JQ's engine tuning video, dude. It sucks to watch, but when you're done with it, you've learned a whole lot. Anyways,
yeah. So what? So I've been doing with this racing asphalt. I bought two new batteries, and then they weren't big enough, and then I had to buy two more new batteries, and it got me thinking: how are these going to degrade over time? I'm
right.
putting like the most abuse any class I've ever heard of puts on a battery. 45 amps average
Yeah, you're
discharge.
just constantly at a hard discharge.
Yeah. So pretty much what you do on the bench,
Yes.
or more. So it like really puts a strain on the battery, comparative to what like you would do on the bench, kind of.
Yep.
So it got me thinking. So I'm using the Battery Wizard to document how my batteries degrade over the races. So right now, after 16 cycles, we're seeing a decrease of about probably like 10% on the discharge curve.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go back through and look at the pictures, but like just the milestones, it would be like 6 or 7 seconds per milestone.
Okay.
So if it was 60 seconds, now it's like 54 seconds.
Right.
Now there's 3 milestones, and they're all decreasing pretty evenly. Mind you, the IR is staying approximately the same.
Okay.
So what I think that means, and we're only 3 tests in, so this is what it's looking like is that the IR is a totally separate function based off of heat, majorly, and cell quality and a couple other things, right?
Right.
But um, a lot of it's heat in the battery, and not has almost nothing to do with the discharge curve itself.
Okay.
So people that what it's looking like is like people that just rely on battery IR aren't getting a full picture of actually what's going on. Now, the question I don't have the answer to is, when will this discharge curve, or the amount of fade you have over time, start appearing on the track? And I think that I'm not going to find that answer in Mod TC.
I think you will.
See, I'm torn about it because I think it'd be really prevalent in stock,
Oh yeah.
but I'm not sure about mod. So when I stop on the same 10th that I
Yep.
started on, then
Yeah.
you know, we can worry about that. Um,
Right.
so the question, what do I think about regenerative discharging versus a normal discharger? Um, it's a $400 thing, so you can use 2 ports on your charger.
Yes.
That's what I think about it.
Yeah.
Um, I think I think his name's Rudolph. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He seems like a really nice guy that put a lot of effort into this product.
Right.
And I don't mean to belittle that in any way, but that's my opinion. Um, you're able to, I think, do a synchronous charge or discharge at like 70 amps or something like that. But why? I don't know, more amps are like, I don't understand why you would want that. I
I
haven't.
think to a point more amps are better, but then it's just like charging. You hit the point of where it's not helping anymore, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't. If the battery gets to 100 degrees, I don't understand like how getting it warmer is going to be better. You can hit 100 degrees with a 10 amp discharge.
Sure.
Um, so I don't really understand this product. Um, to be honest, it's an expensive charger stand that frees up a port on your charger.
Okay.
Um, that's kind of my opinion on it. If you want to discharge at 70 amps or charge at 70 amps, that's the way to do it, I think. Um, I yeah, I don't. There's another way to do that. In terms of a normal discharger, I'm not a big fan of discharging at all. But people seem to really like it, so I try to support it the way I can, the best way I can. So we do sell dischargers at Doc and
Yes.
RC. Um, if that's what you choose to do, I will support, you know, the people that like to do that. We do have a video on how to install them and all that kind of stuff. But for me, discharging, I think it's less safe. So you have 2 alternatives to heating your batteries, right? So you have external heating, like with the heated lipo sleeve. You have
Yep.
internal heating, like cycling. Um, and you don't need a discharger for that, but then it is a little harder on your charger. So using a discharger, you can still cycle, but then you could do it at 10 amps and still
Sure.
get your batteries to 100 degrees. And I say 100 because that's where we found the data has suggested that the temperature in the safe high zone for the performances. So when you get your battery over 100, the discharge curve doesn't get any flatter.
Okay.
IR does maybe get a little bit lower, like 0.1, 0.2. But then if you get your batteries to like 120, you'll ruin that discharge curve and the IR shoots up, like it'll double.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And this was batteries from uh 3 years ago now. So they should still be
Gotcha.
current.
Yeah. Yeah. Generally, they are.
Um So
So
that's what we found, and from what other people have said, it could be even lower than that. But that wasn't a scientific test. But I got my batteries to 120 degrees, and I ruined them.
yeah.
So that's how I figured that out.
So there are people that just care about IR as well. You know, they don't care about the whole discharge curve and all that. They want to take their battery out their charger and it's a 1.1 per cell, which I get it. Um, it's kind of a mental part of racing, like, hey, my batteries are good, you know, puts you a little bit at ease. But
Well,
a lot of people don't know that if you take motor cleaner and a Q-tip and clean out your ports of your battery, and if you slightly, every once in a while, spread the bullets and clean the bullets off, your IR will drop significantly on the charger. I somebody told me that once. I'm like, you're full of shit.
no.
It dropped like, I think my batteries were coming in at 1.6, 1.7. The next charge is like 1.2. I'm like, no way. No way. Because it makes sense though. It makes total
But
sense. The connection it's making. I think a lot of that IR number is can be voodoo unless you're doing the exact same thing every time with the everything being clean, the bullets being the same, doing the same thing every time.
so after talking to, I was going to bring up this very thing. So after talking to Andy from WMH, who is
Yep.
now working on his engineering, electrical engineering degree.
Yep.
Um, so he's like applying what he's learning and then going to do anyway. The way iCharger reads IR isn't really a great way to do it because it
No.
calculates the resistance and of the charge lead.
Right.
So if you have a shorter charge lead with bigger wire
Yep.
and super tight connectors, like if you get some of those ones that have like the screw
Yeah.
thing in to tighten it,
Yeah.
I was told your IR will go to zero. So if you want zero IR, like the charger won't read it.
Yeah.
That's how low it'll be.
Yeah.
Um, but the so apparently that's not a good way to do it. I'm not going to go into the data on it. I don't
Well,
know the
no,
data on it, but
we've gone into the data. I think it was two or three episodes when we are talking about the battery wizard.
so the
We
battery wizard measures the internal resistance of the battery via calculation with a known resistance in the circuit for the battery wizard. It doesn't take into calculation the charge lead. As long as the charge lead is like not terrible and soldered together well, that's all the requirements for that is.
Yep.
And I don't. Andy told it to me like 3 times. I ain't got it, man. I don't know what he said. It's gone.
I gotcha. So speaking of all this, before we get into news, because we got a bit of news.
Hmm.
What's new at Donathan RC right now? What's going on?
All
Yeah.
right. I was supposed to prepare something for this, and I kind of forgot.
That's all
Um,
right.
so we launched a variety of new products. Um, you can see those on the homepage at drcproshop.com. Um, which would be if you just scroll down, it would be like new products added.
Yep.
The product I'm going to talk to you today about is our new wire care package. So for a while we've been offering ESC rewiring service under the services category on the website, and there you can buy a wire kit, same as you can with this wire care package. But people weren't going to look there, so I added its own unique product to the website, so you can buy your choice of wire gauge. You can buy your choice of connectors, your solder, your cable ties, your sensor wires, like anything you would need to redo your ESC. And you can pick and choose what you want in the various options. You don't have to get something. So if you have bullet connectors at home that you want to use, you don't have to use ours. You can just use like some wire or use some solder or
Sure.
whatever you would need. You don't have to buy them. Don't want any of that. You can still go and buy those items individually, and they are linked in the product description of that product. And also in that product description, you can yeah, right there, boom,
Yeah.
wire care package. If you click on that, Joe, with the solder,
Right here. Wire
yes,
care
right there,
package.
perfect.
There you go.
All right. So, and then you can pick your options there. Um,
Motor gauge wire. You could do white,
hey, look
black.
at that. That is a ready to ship item. Holy cow.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Motor
I'm glad the
connectors.
pop-up works.
Yes, it does. So,
So yeah, and then if you scroll down a little bit further, Joe, keep going, keep going, keep going. Right there. All right, in the product description, if you click, I think it says click here for like whichever thing you want. Then you
right
can,
here.
yeah,
So solder sensor wires, one per listing. Click here for details.
right. So then it takes you here, and then if you choose the flat or the tube style, then you would,
Always flat myself.
right. So and then you have all the details about the flat style sensor tube or flat style sensor wires right here. Of course, they have a product
5
description and all
millimeter.
that fun stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, $3.99.
yeah. That's a really good price for a sensor wire.
That is a very good price. I don't think I'm signed in.
No, you're not.
No.
Yeah. So,
Awesome. Um, I like that wire care package. Like, there's a, I wire up my own stuff, and I do use TQ wire often, but the past one or two things I wired up, I used the wire you have, the 13 gauge. I believe it was 13 gauge. And I really like it. It was 12 or 13. I can't remember because I bought it a long time ago and I just finally started using it.
yeah, I mean, so like it's easy to get, you buy three, like, for example, these are sold in 3-foot sections. So,
Yep.
um, 3 foot, if you're wiring an on-road car, that might be two cars.
Yeah.
But for like a buggy, like a 2-wheel drive buggy, that,
Three wheels
that's
enough to
just
do
enough.
one. Three
Yeah,
wheels enough to do one with like 6 inches left
2 foot.
over.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and also it matters for resistance wise in stock off-road racing, but I really got into wire flexibility when we were racing 12 scale, when we first started doing brushless, and we noticed like the stock wire that was coming on the ESCs were actually binding up the rear pod ever so slightly. And that's when we started using TQ wire. And
Right.
it was like,
Alpha's got nice wire.
yeah, it's like a wet noodle. And then I use your wire as well, which is also very flexible and nice. Uh, Kyle's wondering, have you noticed a difference in voltage curve if you charge to 435 a cell rather than 42 a cell?
So I am told that the 435 packs, the HV packs, are supposed to have
Yes.
a better discharge curve if you charge them to 435.
Yes.
Now, we race in, I think, Kyle, you race in the US. I'm not 100%
Yeah.
on that,
Kyle
but I'll
races in
assume.
Minnesota.
All right. So, Kyle, I'm going to assume you follow some of rules.
Yeah.
So most of the time we charge the 4.2. So if you're using and I have not done the proper testing yet, so there's more testing to be done with this data set I'm gathering from the Battery Wizards test. One of the tests I need to do is to see how an HV pack holds up over time comparatively to a standard pack. And they would both be charged to 4.2 volts per cell because we race at
Yeah.
4.2 that's the voltage. So I don't have that data. So what it's looking like, I'll tell you what I do know versus HV versus 7.4 volts. So 7.6 versus 7.4. The 7.4 batteries have typically a lower IR, and they also have a longer discharge curve. So they're better performing batteries. Now, I also have some data that may suggest, and I only have one case of this, so I can't really, say
Right.
with certain, but it looks like the HV packs do have a more stable discharge curve than the 7.4 volt packs.
Yep.
So you lose less discharge curve over time, but you had a worse discharge curve to start. So I don't know like when they're going to intersect.
Lynn's wondering, love the look of your HD covered sensor wires. How are the lead times running lately?
So all of our sensors are ready to ship product, which means they will ship the following business day they're ordered.
Okay.
Right now it is the best time to order custom products that are built to order because we only have a lead time of 3 weeks. I don't mean to take over this show, by the way.
No. If people ask questions, I would love for you to answer them.
So you can always find the lead time of our products on the website, like with that fancy pop-up that I pay to pop up. There's one on all the products.
Yeah.
So we have three different types of products. So we have our ready to ship products, like our sensor wires, our wire care packages, and a couple other awesome products. And we have our built to order items, which are like our custom balance leads and power cables, things that take longer to make than a sensor wire.
Yeah.
And then we have our items that are kind of drop shipped. So like our WMH items and our our new touring car bumpers from EAM 3D, our pit boards, things like that.
Okay. And then I just blanked out. Never mind. Oh man. It's been that kind of a day. I'm misspelling crap. I'm blanking out. I don't know what's going on. I had jiu-jitsu this morning and I'm the test dummy because usually I'm the highest belt in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know when you get choked and you make that noise that you can't replicate it, but you can't help it when you're getting choked?
Yeah.
That happened a couple times this morning.
That's my favorite noise for somebody to make.
I know.
It's involuntary. You can't make it.
You can't.
It's just like
it's just, yeah. And when the coach is doing that, he's kind of half laughing at me. It's like, you dick. But
sometimes it sneaks up on you. You don't think you got to choke that tight, and
it was good stuff this morning. We're doing that. We're doing them. He's like, well, he goes, I'm feeling a little froggy this morning, so we're gonna work scissor takedowns. Okay. So, but everybody left with both knees intact, so that's good.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking of, so this is off a tangent, but I don't do the MMA and jiu-jitsu podcast really anymore. I want to get it going again, but I can't find a co-host. Like I like doing it with the local jiu-jitsu guys, but it's hard. But anyway, there's this guy that used to go to our gym, goofy guy. He wasn't getting a stripe on his belt. So he literally left our school, went to another school just to get a stripe on his belt. White belt. Came back, stripe on the belt. My coach almost took it off of him. But, let him have it. And then he left again last October and was going to school. And all of a sudden he pops up at this new jiu-jitsu school a couple towns over wearing a blue belt. And I know this guy. I went from laughing hysterically last night to being so enraged that I'm trying to get an MMA fight set up with the guy.
I mean, two options, right? So the dude worked his ass off.
No.
In the time he was gone. Well, that's an option, though.
It is,
it's a very unlikely option. but it is possible. And if he's had some experience and then worked his ass off for almost the last 9 months
Yep.
to get a blue belt, that's
Right.
not unheard of. There's
Right.
lots of guys in my gym that have started after me and are way better than me and have their
Sure.
blue belts working on to the purple.
Sure. Sure.
The second thing is gyms promote by time there, and I think that's a disgraceful way to promote people. I think it should be based off of talent.
So this guy, I think, he said he got it from some Gracie school, which means he did the Gracie Combatives deal. I think it's a Gracie Online Combatives belt. But also he used to put on his profile like Muay Thai coach, which he can't even hit pads properly. He puts state champ, like state wrestling champ, under his profile. And my buddy goes, "Oh, cool. Freestyle or folk style." He's like, "What's that?" And it's like, whoa. So I saw that and I've been pretty upset. I was pacing on the mats this morning. I really want to get an MMA fight with this guy. I really want to get an MMA fight with this guy. He says, Kyle says, I'll PM Zach a battery question. Not really what I was going to ask about. Stock guys running 10 gauge wire versus 12 to 13. Yeah, there's something there. So
there's not.
Well, it's more. It's so hard. It's so hard because you're going for that extra 1/10 of 1%.
Let me pull up some data.
But what about the extra? What about the extra weight 10 gauge wire gives you? Do you think that would be more detrimental to?
Yes. Hold on. Where is?
Then we'll get into news.
Wire resistance and weight. Okay, so.
Yeah, Kyle goes, besides adding 20 or 30 grams to your car.
Okay, so the standard. This is using a Instec meter. Not the most current one, but it does read accurate and should read pretty close. So standard 10 gauge, which is what most people are using. And I have the documents and the pictures and all this stuff, and I think I already put it on the DRC Facebook page. For a 6-inch section of 10 gauge wire, you have a IR of 0.37.
Okay.
Of the leveled up DRC 12 gauge 6-inch section, you have a 0.47, so 0.1 more resistance, which is like we'll say 20%, 25% more resistance from the 10 gauge. Now, to give you weight examples, that same 6-inch piece weighs 10 grams.
Okay.
Compared to the DRC 6-inch piece of 12 gauge, which weighs 6 grams.
Huh.
So I will save a lot of time and say just use the DRC 12 gauge because it's half the resistance of the 13 gauge and slightly more resistance than 10 gauge at like half the weight.
Yeah. And again, I don't know how much of that. I don't know.
So I will say the most resistive part of this whole like wire to connector to battery thing is actually the solder joint. So if you're not getting a good solder joint and not putting that wire as close to that lug on the solder or on the board or the bullet, then you essentially, if like the connector is like this, right? And you put your wire here like this, but it's all the way out here, you have a big solder bridge. But if you push that wire here, right?
I have a question, and I've done this before with 12 scale cars. does it make a difference if you take that solder lug out and just put the wire in? You know what I mean? The solder
Should,
post.
yeah. Well, it's
I
one
know you
less solder
can.
joint,
Right. I mean,
but
I know
it's
you
pretty
can, but
close together. I don't. Yes,
I
but no. Like,
I've done it, but I didn't know if it made a difference, so I stopped doing it.
I'm sure it makes a measurable difference. We could probably measure the resistance of that from, with a Instack meter or something similar, high dollar internal resistance meter.
Right.
Um, I don't I don't have that data to say that, but I would imagine it does because it's one less solder joint in that thing. That's
Yeah.
also a really important reason to keep your battery connectors clean.
Yes.
And if your gold connectors are turning silver, they are no longer good. Slide in and out of your battery like a fish in water, they're also no longer good. Those
Yep.
are also really resistive portions of the battery performance.
Right. All right. So I'm trying to. All right. There we go. I was trying to bring crap up, dude. There it is.
Are you going to do the AE thing?
So we're going to talk lawsuits in general. First,
Okay.
we're going to start Traxxas because
Mhm.
we ended the podcast in that kind of last week talking about the Traxxas Mud Boss and how the Salvas. I dislike how people take Traxxas's side on this, but I get it because what Traxxas is going to do for oval racing is going to be way more than what the
Oh yeah,
Salvas have. I mean, but the
and
Salvas,
that's no disrespect to the Salvas.
no, but the Salvas also sold how many Traxxases to
True.
make oval cars. So there's both, but Salvas, they trademarked the Mud Boss name. So the
Mhm.
Traxxas is now just, I believe, the modified,
Yes, and they
which,
had a nice story to cover it up.
yeah,
By the way,
yeah,
bravo to the marketing team.
yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, ah, cult meeting podcast. What's this cult meeting podcast is wondering? It's a podcast about RC car racing. Lynn's wondering what's the best way to clean your battery connectors. Personally, Lynn, I use motor cleaner, but that's probably not the best way.
I would recommend rubbing alcohol,
Okay.
and like a Q-tip.
Yeah.
Um, and make sure if any of the little fibers get on the connector to pull them out.
Yeah.
None should get in the like your battery.
Yep.
But if the connector has like the um, tines on it, they can get in between the tines and you pull them out. Um, I I don't know about motor cleaner. You could. It dries quickly like rubbing alcohol, but
Yeah.
I've just always used rubbing alcohol.
Right. I won't pull up the thing from Team Associated because I want to read it verbatim because they straight up said we're taking legal action. It's like, holy
I think they said they were consulting legal experts. But
I don't,
so I think so to finish up the Traxxas thing, this is exactly what we finished on last time. So
yeah.
we were waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I still think it's going to be great for a bunch of not racers to get into racing.
Yep.
I think it kind of does suck for the Salvases.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, like that should be like a really cool feather in your hat. Like we're so good that the multi-million-dollar company wants to copy our stuff,
Sure.
or maybe are inspired by our stuff. If you
Right.
want to
It, it's
not say
still
copy.
it still bothers me greatly that that they went they sue people for using the name Max. They sued it still bothers me that they sued HBO.
It's not a two-way street. They're not playing by the same rules.
I
They're
know.
playing by but it's not. If they were in RC for the good of RC, then like they probably would have like the silences said that the Traxxas. Like if they
Yeah,
were in it for the good of RC, Traxxas probably would have gave the silences a kickback and
sure.
then maybe brought them in to help with the modified and or slash mud boss whatever, and then gave them a royalty on it, like a
Yeah,
1% royalty on all sales for the kits or something
sure.
like then that would be like the right way to do it, in my opinion. To like give the creators something. They put all this effort into making this
Right,
thing, and
right,
then the big conglomerate comes over and says, I have millions of dollars or how many ever dollars it takes to get all this manufactured and put it together in kits and then distribute it around the country so that everyone can have it in their stores.
right.
This house is, I mean, I imagine they're not broke, but
No,
like I can't imagine they got like $1 million laying around.
no, but you never know in the RC world.
That's true.
So, Team Associated made 2 splashes this week. We'll talk about the one today because the language of this one bothers me a little bit. So it says, Dear valued customers, certain vendors are selling products that infringe on our copyrights and trademarks, which I understand, as the rightful owners of the RC10 series trademark, which has been established for over 40 years, and as the company behind Associated Electric since 1964, we take these infringements very seriously. We are engaging legal experts to address the issue, and legal action will be taken to protect our rights. Counterfeit, now this is where I have the problem. Counterfeit products compromise our quality and standards. They're not counterfeit. They don't have the Team Associated label, from what I understand. That is what counterfeit is. Infringing on something, yes. Counterfeit, no. We strongly advise you not to purchase or support these counterfeit products or the companies selling them. Support our long-standing commitment to superior quality and innovation by choosing genuine Associated Electric's products. Now, this would be cool if they continued selling their RC10 parts from, let's say, 1992 to when they brought it back in 2014 was the first re-release of the classic. Okay. But guess what? They quit making parts and several things for several years.
I mean, it's gonna depend highly on how these companies that are selling replacement parts or using the Team Associated name
Right. Now, if they're using
are
the Team
saying it.
Associated, yeah, if they're using the Team Associated logo, which I believe they are not, they're using the Associated logo or something like, they could be using a design, but I don't believe they're using a logo, which,
If you say, um, for example, uh, if somebody at the company gives you permission to use the logo,
yeah,
you can use that logo. Like
yeah,
that's how like DRC not acquires, is able to use logos. Like we
yep,
ask the company or we get permission from people inside the company because they reach out to us and they want the logo on the heat shrink. But
yeah,
at the same time, we're not saying that's a Team Associated product that is like advertising for Team Associated with the DRC product. Like we're not saying
right,
it's Team Associated thing, but it's like it has the person want to support Team Associated. They pay for the service, not selling the Team Associated name, to be able to put that on their product.
yeah,
What could get them in serious trouble if they said, um, like, this is a genuine Team Associated part for the RC10 front
right,
arm or whatever.
right. You got to be careful with
Or,
language.
but if you say this is a replacement part from, we'll say Donathan RC, just as
Yeah,
example, a replacement front arm for the Team Associated RC10 from Donathan RC.
Yeah.
You know, the brand is Donathan RC. It fits this model in this way. And you could say it's a direct replacement for the kit part,
Yeah.
kind of like a J Concepts
Right.
or a Shell or Avid or R1, like all these companies that make aftermarket parts for the Team Associated cars aren't making Team Associated products. They're making upgrade or aftermarket parts for them.
Yep. So I don't know, man. It's
So why does that worry you?
I don't like the use of the word counterfeit parts.
Well, let's look up the definition of counterfeit.
Counterfeit would be labeling it as Team Associated genuine parts. That's what counterfeit means.
So the definition is made an exact imitation of something valuable or important with the intention, which I think is an important word in this, to deceive or defraud.
Yes. But, and again, I have multiple feelings on this because as well as you're a small business owner yourself, people have copycatted you and it has bothered me greatly. And I have sent you messages with, and you stay calm, which is like, I don't know how you can do that. I mean, I'm extremely angry for you in a lot of scenarios.
Well, because when it happens every week, you can't go flying off the handle.
Man, that's why I couldn't. That's why it'd be very difficult. So I don't know why I'm so passionate about stuff like this. So my MMA podcast, which is basically defunct now, we haven't recorded in like 2 months. But when we first started, the name of our podcast is Cauliflower Ear. And a few months after we started, there's another guy who made the Cauliflower Ear podcast. It's the same name. But I didn't trademark shit, so it's no big, I can't do anything. And he only did a couple episodes and quit. But every single week for like 6 months straight, I'm like, dude, I'll fight you over the name. I will fight you. I will fight your dad. I don't care. I'm like, because we took 3 or 4 weeks to come up with that name, which in hindsight, it's a stupid name. Do you know how many Americans can spell cauliflower? Not many.
Oh, Joe.
And, for the past couple of years, we've been talking about renaming it. But when the dude used the same name as us, I got really passionate and really angry about it to where my wife is just can't stand me. She gets to that point to where she can't stand me.
You need to go to the gym more, Joe.
I do. I'm there 6 days a week.
Lay off I don't even know. What are you doing? What are you doing, Joe?
And you know what the funny thing is? My anger used to be a million times worse before I started jiu-jitsu. Because when you have a good session and you leave, nothing matters for a little bit. You're just happy and floaty and all that shit, and you're like at peace with yourself. I had never felt that before.
I maybe need to go talk to somebody, Joe.
No, I just my anger is more a short burst now, and
help me. So
a lot of times I keep it inside.
Well, that's probably the issue, Joe. Do you think maybe that you're making mountains out of molehills?
80% of the time, yes.
All right, so just talk it out with somebody, have like a reasonable conversation. Maybe you need more friends. Do you need a hug? Give you a hug.
Dude, sometimes. I like the struggle snuggles. But, well, that's the thing. And sometimes I try to keep it quiet, and Beth knows me, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm mad about something stupid." And then she's like, "Okay, talk to me about it." But last night and this morning, when I was seething about that guy with his fake blue belt, she's like, "What is the deal?" And then I explain the whole scenario about who this guy is, and she's like, "Oh." I'm like, "I want to fight him. I'm going to try to set up an MMA fight with this guy because there's a
Well,
local promotion to where I know I can pass my medicals. I want to fight. I want to
and
I want to
you
prove a
know,
point because barely I'm barely a one stripe blue belt. To the academy I go to, our standards. And he's
so I think why it bothers you so much is because it defrauds your blue belt. It defrauds all the
yes,
effort you put into getting your
yes,
blue belt. The years and years and the choking, the arm bars, my legs hurt, my ankle got
yes,
messed up, my hands weird, my fingers broken. All the
exactly.
things that you go through to get a blue belt, and this guy just goes, I mean, you can buy one. You can buy them off
You can.
probably Amazon. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you can buy your coral belt off Amazon.
Of course you can.
But
Thanks, Amazon.
the thing about
I
it
don't know where
is,
to get them, but
yeah. I bought a gi off Amazon with the black belt, and I handed it to my coach, and he goes, "Where'd you get this?" I said, "I came with my gi." He goes, "Throw it in the fire pit." And that's what I did. Tony goes, "Got to settle down and tell her to talk to her." No, I don't talk to my wife like that. Yeah. No, but you brought up a good point. Why do I get upset about because I'm passionate not about my hard work, but I'm passionate about other people's hard work that they put into something to come up with something original. Like,
well, that's bullshit. You already just said you put in the hard work to do this thing.
well, I put in the hard
It's
work
for
for the blue belt, but
both things.
like I get upset when people like to have free will with your intellectual property as well because I know the hard work you put in. If you could ever find old episodes of this podcast from when we started, I used to and still should, but I used to flame VP Pro for absolutely hijacking things from J Concepts. And I mean, all tire design, there's only like so many patterns you can do with
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z, but you can always change it up a little bit and make it yours. They were straight thieving, and they still kind of are. But you got to let certain things go because,
That's J Concept's fight.
yeah, it's
Like
A, J
you,
Concepts fight, and B, whenever there's a new press release for VP Pro and everybody expresses their disgust in the comments and they don't change, well, everybody's said their piece.
why would they change if they're still selling tires?
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
who's
the point.
being a hypocrite here? Are we like why? We'll pick on VP Pro. I don't even know who. I know they manufacture tires. I don't know anything beyond that.
Yeah. I think wings and bodies. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you guys don't want to support them, then don't support them. Like, don't
Right.
vote with your dollar.
And
You don't
that's
like
what
a company, don't give them your money. I
right.
don't care that they're $10 cheaper a set, or that you can get them when you can't get anything else. Like, just don't support. Like, stand your ground.
Right. Right. Um Associated made another wave this week. They came out with another vintage car, the YZ10. Um I'm no longer getting as excited for these releases. The YZ10, while although it was an iconic car in a way, not really. The only iconic four-wheel drive car I could ever see owning would be a BJ4 myself. But that's me. Some people love those cars back in the day, and those are for those people to build their shelf queen. So yeah,
Uh,
it's weird because Team Associated. I mean, hey, Joey Fitzsimmons is on here.
It seems like a money grab at this
Right.
point. Like the
That's
first thing was kind of cool.
yeah,
Like and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. There's a
yeah,
bunch of people that like that. That's great. That's cool. They can finish their collections, and then they did another one,
yeah.
and then another one, and another one, and now they just have like extra money hanging out that
The
they're using to finance all this stuff. Like,
yeah,
you don't have anything better to do with this money? Open a couple tracks that you don't need
yeah.
to make money on.
The RC10T would have been cool if they didn't make the mistakes they made with it, because I bought an original RC10T kit that was the first brand new kit I ever had when I was like 8 years old or something. And I got it when it was new, and they made the mistakes, and it's like, God, I was going to buy one, but there's too many mistakes that they made. They don't come with the skinny front tires, which is important, believe it or not. You might not have even been born
We
yet.
talked about this last time. They handled better.
But anyways, yeah. But cool, the RC10T. I kind of like that RC10 clear car, even though I haven't bought one yet, because all you're going to do is have
64?
it. Huh?
The B64?
No,
They came
that
out with a clear one too?
they came out with a clear regular RC10 that came out before the B6.4.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of like that because it's going to be a shelf queen regardless. And seeing the cool things people do with their paint jobs, but leave the main color clear and all that stuff, that's kind of cool. But dude, I mean, Yokomo, even though they teamed up with Team Associated quite a lot back in those days, Yokomo is a separate company. Leave it to Yokomo, man. But anyway,
Maybe they did. Maybe they bought it off of Yokomo.
oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure.
For Yokomo's like probably hemorrhaging money, and like, we can't do anything with this anyway. I'll sell it to you for $10,000.
Yeah. You know what sucks? That newer Yokomo buggy, from what I've heard, is actually pretty good. And nobody's given it a shot because,
Just Brian Dunbar.
yeah,
And he's doing good with it.
our
I don't know
local,
anything about it, but he beats my ass 7 days out of the
the
week.
local guy that beats my ass in tracks is Slash, Johnny Shore. He's a really good driver. He's always been a really good driver, and he likes the Yokomo. Fitzsimmons checking in though, ran out of talent alum. He's always welcome back on as well. Doug Reek checking in. Doug Reek for an MNRC event. I don't know if I told you this because this happened. We covered the event our last episode, but Joe Scaramel sponsored the event with his insurance company, Empire Insurance, and they gave away a ton of stuff. Doug won an Ogio 9800 bag, and he won $100 bill. Freaking killer day.
Nice. That's like $400 worth of stuff.
Yeah. Evan Tapp checking in. Awesome. So what else we got? CRC finally came out, caught up to 2016.
Way earlier than that. But we talked about this a while ago.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. So, CRC is a 12 scale, primarily 12 scale company.
Yes.
They make some other stuff, but mostly they're known for their 12 scale. The black carpet that you guys all hate or love, they don't make that, but they sure sell it.
Yeah.
It's the same company.
Well, they source it, and it's different every time.
Right, that one. They came out and so they were using standard SAE screws for a long time.
For too long.
Yes, for too long. And they finally released their new CRC car.
Yeah.
With a new design that's been floating around for a while now.
Yeah.
With metric hardware. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good. Great. It is great. CRCRC. We'll see if we can pop. There it
It's just
is.
CRC. But they had in like one of the first comments when I looked on there was CRC explaining why they used standard hardware for so long, and I thought that was really interesting. Essentially, it was because the 12 scale started. What they said was the 12 scale started in the U.S. and in the
Yes.
U.S. we use standard hardware or Imperial hardware,
Yeah.
and so when they started, everyone was using Imperial hardware, and they're the only one left from when they. So that's why they continued to use Imperial hardware.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting.
Huh. Let's
So,
see here. The only 12 scale on, it must not be on their webpage yet. Because the only one on here is the 25th anniversary one. And I know that one. Wait, or it might be. Is it adjustable roll? No, that's a 2021 champion. This is not. Well, that's a bummer. It's not on their webpage.
they are. I thought
That's
it would be.
Yeah, I thought it would be as well. Well, what I honestly think happened was they bought too much from whoever they buy hardware from and had to use it up.
Oh yeah, and the standard hardware is cheaper than the metric hardware.
Absolutely. But I don't like it. I mean, the threads are coarse and yeah, it's not as good. But good for
Oh,
CRC for.
so it's a an announcement for the car, but it is not currently available.
Oh, I got you. See, I went to kits immediately. I didn't even look for
Okay.
announcements for the car.
I went and looked on
Facebook.
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, it'll be cool when it's out. Um, hopefully they become competitive again, but that's going to
They
be
were
tough.
always competitive, but they lost the competitive drivers.
Right.
Of them, I should
Well,
say.
that's hard to say. I'll tell you this much: the drivers they lost in Minnesota, because we have two or three of the most fastest drivers in the country in the state of Minnesota. That
Mhm.
was a difficult one for them to give up because they were also getting cheap and or free tires as well.
I know. I talked to them as well, and
Yeah.
that says something about what's going on, and then it also says something when Brian leaves
Yep.
CRC.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. I would love to talk to Frank or um, I forget the other guy's name. I'm sorry, dude. Uh, but the other brother about what, like, I would love to hear their side of the story. I think that'd be a great, like, interview
Oh, they
to
hate me.
hear. I know,
I would
but I
love.
think it would be a great story to
Yeah.
hear about what, like,
Oh no, you froze. Shoot. Did I freeze? Guys, type in the comments. Can you hear me? Oh no. No, I got internet. Hold on. Zach. Hey man. Shoot. Anyway, I think Zach's frozen. All right, I'm good. So it's on Zach's end. Shoot. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Well, Zach's frozen. So while Zach's frozen, we'll talk a little bit more for a second about there we go. Zach's reloaded. That's fine. Um I saw that or I heard on the No Name RC podcast that Ryan Pavitas has left Sparko, and I think is a amicable split. Um from what I understand, I'm not quite sure, but from what I understand is Pavitas might be done. There we go.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So I just kind of switched topics about Ryan Pavitas leaving Sparco and maybe leaving the RC industry altogether.
How old is Pavitas?
He's Kyle saying mid interview, if we were doing an interview with Frank, he'd be, so how about that carpet? Dude, I feel so bad for
Sure.
Jeff because Jeff took all of the abuse for all of the things I said on this podcast. But yeah, sometimes I don't think Jeff minds. But anyway, so Ryan Pavitas, he's got to be like 21, 22.
I think he's like just starting into the prime of his career, but that like what I mean, that's okay though. Like we see this kind of all the time in RC. Like it's kind of it seems like the escape velocity in RC to be able to make money in RCs, like become a professional driver,
Yep.
start a business before your career is over,
Yeah.
make something that doesn't suck,
That
and
helped.
then continue to make stuff that doesn't suck after you're done professionally driving.
Right. Um, I think Tebow and Adam Drake have set themselves up very well. Ungaro is working on his own brand, but it's like he's on and he's off and he's on and he's off, that type
But
of thing.
he's like 21 or 20.
He
I don't
is,
even know if he's
and he
21.
is
He's got plenty
truly
of
the
time.
best in the world. He's truly the best in the world.
I would like to think so, but
Well, maybe
know.
Juan Carlos Canas.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's find out in like 2 months.
Yeah, I know. I'm so jealous of the people going to Spain.
You can go to Spain.
I can go to Spain. I'm jealous of the people that are getting paid to cover that race to go to Spain. That's what I should say.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, that's truly my current dream now. I mean, obviously, I know I'm never, ever, ever going to have the talent to be sent to any races for my driving skill. But one day I will be good enough to get paid to travel to races.
Like,
yeah. So I'm pumped about that. But I think the thing about it is, after HB didn't pay Pavitas travel money and all that, and I hate to say it, the newest HB car that most of the guys were on towards the end of the high run for HB wasn't great, but the car before that was so good and so forgiving that I think it gave a lot of guys an extra edge that I don't know if they should have had or shouldn't have had or whatever. But I think he tried other cars, and I think it's not there. It's time to do something else, which is good. It's better to figure it out now. I don't think there'll be pros. I mean, I think every company will have a pro, and you're going to have your 100% and your 75 and all that. Hey, Joe Scaramel's checking in. Joe, we were just talking about you sponsoring the North Branch race and how all the cool stuff Doug Reek won. Anyway, I asked a question.
I agree.
Yeah. I asked a question on the No Name RC podcast. Like, they didn't answer the question because they got into a debate about it. Well, the first part, I said, after the market corrects itself, and I shouldn't have said after there are no pros, but let's say there's only literally a couple of pros out there.
It'll become what a sponsored driver used to be,
right?
For when you get to be paid. Back in like the 80s and like maybe the 90s.
But my question was, what will big races like Silver State and DNC and all that stuff look like now that your quote unquote favorite pro probably won't be there because they're not going to be sent there by the factory, and they're not going to put their own dollar down to travel to Las Vegas to race or Paris, California, or wherever.
I
That's
think
what my question was.
in 10 years, I think we'll see a huge thing in RC about sponsored drivers. Um, I don't think that, like, and I don't mean this to be any disrespect to sponsored drivers, but like now with social media and kind of how everything's going, like a sponsored driver isn't like when when Dakota Fen wins, TLR doesn't sell any more kits.
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
I think the only way that Dakota would sell like more kits is if he goes to like some obscure brand and
Yeah,
starts racing that. Then I think people would buy that kit because they see, oh, Dakota's running it. Like it must be a good kit because.
that
But
happened a lot in the early 2000s. And a
mm,
lot of guys that were getting paid a good salary with like Kyosho or Mugen went and ran weird brand X or weird brand Y, and they were with them for 3 months getting paid a ton of money, but they fell off the face of the earth.
yeah,
So
but I mean, I think in 10 years there's gonna be like I hope what I hope sponsorship model, the contract customer model goes away,
yep,
and we go back to what would be the 90s sponsorship model where you have one or two top pro drivers that there will be like an invite class that they are invited to race,
yep,
and then maybe a couple other like super awesome guys that don't get to get paid to race. You know, they're out there. Like I'm sure Tebow still kicks ass. Like
yeah,
you know what I mean? He doesn't get paid anymore,
no,
but like that, and there's a bunch of on-road guys that are still like that.
sure.
You know, Paul Lemieux comes out, he's still gonna beat me every day of the week. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna beat
I
Paul.
don't know. Now with 99% efficiency, I don't
Oh, get out of here. Yeah, I could be 99%, but still half a
His
second off a
96
lap.
beats your 99.
Yeah, that happened.
It does.
All the time because he's just like I would sacrifice, I don't know to what point, but I would sacrifice some consistency for speed if it was enough.
Yeah. No, you're
But,
right.
you know, so am I going slow consistently or am I like trying to go I don't know. There's
Yeah.
nobody from I'm racing the clock.
Right, right. So the only other news item I have this week is two IFMAR World Championship races were canceled this week. One because of the government and the other because of lack of interest. Oh, and we also have the Roar Post we can get to as well.
And don't forget about your shirts.
Oh yeah. I don't know if we're doing them much anymore though, because I was talking to Corey and he's thinking about doing something else. But if you would like a Ran Out of Talent shirt, go to pwrmerch.com and in the search bar, get your Ran Out of Talent shirt or mug. You can also get your Ran Out of Talent shirt. The If you ain't got balls, you ain't going fast. That's for the dirt off road guys. Um, Yeah, one episode we're just talking, and somebody asks a question about gear diffs and dirt, and Joey just straight up goes, "If you ain't got balls, you ain't going fast." It's like he's right. If you're running a two wheel on dirt, and if you're not running a ball diff, man, you're falling behind. Um, so the large scale worlds was canceled because they put it in a silly place. Uh, they didn't have a community there to run anyway. 9 people signed up.
Hmm.
And
I think they would
what
have been better off putting it in Asia or
right,
Europe.
Europe for sure. Europe all day long. Go where the people are. Large scale itself, it's hard to draw numbers. Like I said, so the biggest fifth scale race off road in America was in Vegas this year, and it drew 152 entries, which is
Still, that's more
awesome.
than a Worlds, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
it's awesome,
Or,
but
oh, entries, not drivers.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Each driver was driving 2 classes per vehicle. About
But that's just local. Like, I'm sure there weren't a bunch
they
of
were they were all
international guys.
no, they were all. I mean, I think we might have been. Well, Luke Lystrom was farthest from the Carolinas, but next to that was the guys for us from Minnesota. The good majority were from Arizona, California, all that.
Sounds like,
Driving
you know,
distance.
the States or Europe. I mean, that sucks that they had to cancel it, but
But they
it's
put
like,
it
I don't
in.
know.
Uh,
When was that scheduled?
I think it was scheduled for like a month from now.
I'm sorry. When, like, was that the old IFMAR or the new IFMAR?
What do you mean?
Well, after the coup or before the coup?
Oh, this was oh, that's a good question.
Because if it was before the coup, that makes sense. If it was after the coup, come on. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
And I don't race fifth scale.
No. Um I'm trying to pull it up here. Oh, jeez. Everything works different on a desktop rather than my phone. I like my phone.
Well, you could use your phone.
I could, but I mean I'm right here. All
Uh-huh.
right, that's the Costa Rica one. I'm looking for because there we go. Okay. It is with disappointment. Sydney, Australia. That's got to be one of the most expensive places to have a Worlds. I talked to people who went for the A scale. A scale off road has got to be one of the only Worlds that sells out. And they were everybody was complaining about the cost. It was a beautiful race, but actually getting there was insanely expensive.
I can imagine. I'm complaining about the cost of going to California.
Yeah, exactly. I'm complaining about the cost of going to Omaha this weekend. I am freaking cheap. Oh, it's
I'm not that
3
cheap.
months to the event. It's 3 months to the event, and 9 drivers are signed up. So they're
That's fair though.
canceling.
Like,
Well, again, though, if they would have had it in Europe, but it would have had to be in the summertime because a lot of Europe rains.
yeah.
But large scales, like I said, one of my dream races is to go race large scale off road at a Euros because that's the closest thing you're going to get to a Worlds for
Well,
fist.
then they should just tell Joey to go um do the like you know, if you're
Yeah.
getting 150 local at Joey's race, and
Oh,
granted, some of them did come and race the 8 scale stuff,
they
but
did not many though. I'd say
no,
like 5
not
or
really.
6 guys only did
Oh,
both.
really?
Yeah.
Wow, I would think more.
Yeah, I was well. All of us last year talked about it. It's like, yep, we're all going to grab an A scale and we're going to race A scale as well, and hardly any of us did.
It's like
I
running
did.
stock touring car. It's just not fun anymore.
Yeah. Kyle's wondering if I'm going to Omaha. Yeah, Kyle, I'm going to be in the mod booth all weekend. I'm not racing. But this one came yesterday. The cancellation of the Costa Rica IFMAR 110 scale world event. We were just informed by FAMAR that Costa Rica event needs to be canceled due to noise issues with the neighborhood party. Despite offers from the club to build a wall, the local government is not willing to cooperate. To avoid last minute cancellations due to not having the necessary permits to organize the club decided to cancel now with 5 months to go. So they're canceling now, and they're probably going to reschedule.
Yeah, I was gonna say just reschedule that one.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. Yeah, Lynn. No, I'm not going to Aberdeen. We're not we're not talking about that. But yeah, IFMAR, it's
It's
that
hard,
one.
yeah.
It sounds like they canceled it in Costa Rica, but they're planning on rescheduling, is what it sounds like to me.
Well, there wasn't a lack of participation.
No, even though the touring car worlds, the Nitro, um, there isn't a huge amount of participation, but they usually get 100 to 150 drivers, which isn't bad.
I don't think you can have that many drivers, Joe. I don't think you have 150. I think the cap's like one. Well, I guess I'm incorrect. I think it's
I thought
the
the cap
classes
for
there
worlds
are.
was like I thought the caps for the worlds was like 300. At least that's what it is for like the A scale worlds, isn't it? Or is that in the
Drivers
100?
or entries?
Well, the worlds is the worlds. So you just have entries. Like
Yeah, I
A,
think you only can have one per drive. I'm sorry.
yeah, A scale
I'm
off road's only
uneducated on this
buggy.
topic.
Yeah. Well, I could be thinking of nationals because nationals, I believe, is like 300 or 330 entries, but it's like two classes plus like an old man's class, and they have a juniors exhibition or all that. Yeah, it's speaking of organizations, Roar put out a post this week. Oh man, you guys can't freaking win, can you?
I'm trying. I think
I
it
know.
was good, but you know.
It was a good post. It says, "Hey, we're looking for treasure." And underneath it, they're like, "Hey, Roar, F you." Literally, it's like, whoa. Just because, there, I don't know the exact thing that happened at the Nationals, but I do believe what Mike Fuller says because he's not full of shit
Oh yeah, forgot about
about
this.
his. Well, that's where all that anger. So it's about, you know, it's about filling. This is about filling the treasurer position that Tessman's mom left.
Right.
And they're talking about implementation of a LCQ, and they're talking about what happened during the meeting. They're talking about a website update on Roar Motor approval, better way to sign up for the national, all good things. They're talking about that. And then you go to the comments, it's like, hey, Roar, F you. But you know what the funny thing is? And they all might disagree with me right now, but if their home track had a Roar national championship, they would be there. Every single one of these guys would be there. So, I mean, don't you think? I don't know, man.
No, I don't. I don't think they would. I think people don't like to support the things they get for free.
Yeah.
I think people are like one Roar shot themselves in the foot like 12 times. So either having to regrow a foot or
Yeah.
Goofy, like because every time uh from the previous administrations, they have the people, the drivers, the RC community has given Roar so many chances to stop messing up and to do better in the past. And I think even now, like, but we're human and we're making mistakes, but we're trying and we're making
Yeah.
progress. It's just
There's
there's so much
progress.
stuff going on, and you only can do so much at the same time. Um,
Honestly, I think Roar's too small. And
it's hard, yeah.
I'm a small government guy. I truly am a small government guy. But I am a guy who believes that governing bodies of all sorts should have every position filled, and you should have fail safes. You should have people double checking your work in important scenarios. Like, Caden's DQ shouldn't have happened, but it did. And it, you know,
I don't
Mike's,
know if you've ever done tech before, but it happens.
it happens. And I have done tech, and I freaking hate doing tech. But
When you
Roar
get
has the
like
tools to do
500
it
people,
seamlessly. Yeah.
they could have done it better. And I
No.
think that so hold on, when you make a mistake, like we're all gonna
Yep.
make mistakes,
Yeah.
and that's like it's gonna happen.
Right.
If you keep making that mistake, that's on you. But if you
Yeah.
make that mistake and then you try to do something to better it for the next event,
Yeah.
then that's like, and nobody's giving you any suggestions. You're just saying, "Hey, suck less."
Yeah.
Like that's not helpful. Thanks. We know it sucked. Like
Yeah.
I got it. We got it. Like every my cat knows it sucks. Okay, that's not helpful. Do you want to be helpful? Okay, come up with a good solution that can, like somebody said, the card thing, or you can do a video camera. Just set it
Right.
up at the thing. Did you go through? Did you sign? Did we see Caden's car go through the tech thing? Okay, great. I made a mistake. You
Yeah.
know what? When there's 500 people going through tech every round, or 500 cars or whatever, it gets confusing, and it is
Well,
hard, and
absolutely.
it's oh man, and you're just trying to do your best to keep up, and those tech people are doing a thankless job, and everyone's being a dick to them for no reason
Right.
because they're enforcing the rules, and you're 1 gram under. Well, how about you just put 5 grams in the car? What,
Yeah.
like 4 grams gonna make a difference,
Right. And
or
there have been people
overcharging your
who
battery or whatever.
there have been people who've been disqualified who weighed under the limit after the race. I think that happened at this Nats as well.
Yeah, well, weights fall off the car, and that's an unfortunate part of the thing, but it
No,
is the
what
driver's
happens is
responsibility.
what happens is they were riding that edge too close, and they come in and their tires are bald.
Mm,
Tire tread
you know what?
weighs.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
fair point. Yeah, if you know, like, everybody who's going to these races should know, like, you got to put an extra 10 grams in your car. Like,
Sure.
maybe Dakota Fenn can feel 10 grams. I can feel 10 grams if it's moved from the nose to the rear of the car, but if
Right.
it's just in the center of the car, I can't
Yeah.
tell you what 10 grams does.
Exactly. Austin checking in. Austin. Austin is going strictly oval. He
Man, I
stopped.
got fired up on that one.
No, it's good though. And you know what? And like I said, my solution is, and this is a shitty thing, is because your tech guys aren't going to pay their own travel to get there. They're not going to pay their own hotel. So you're putting up tech guys for 4 extra days. Let's say 2 more in the tech booth probably would have been a good thing. The last Roar Nationals I was at, I want to say Don Sanchez was the president. It was like in 2010. And I started recently buying my Roar membership again just so I can vote and, so I can have a say because I'm a Roar member. But it was 2010 Roar Nationals in Joliet, Illinois. And I want to say there was close to 200 entries. And I want to say they had one guy working tech. And I'm like, what is this nonsense? This is he seriously, and this was a 10 scale off-road nationals. So I believe he was measuring something with the wing. He was checking wheelbase. he was checking your battery voltage, and he was checking your weight. They weren't checking ride height, and you wouldn't have been near minimum ride height anyway on dirt off road. But he was the sole tech guy for a Roar Off-Road Nationals that was 2/3 full. And I just thought that was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is. Yeah, the last Roar Nationals I went to was a couple of years ago. I didn't go to the last one, the on-road one.
Yeah.
And they had 3 or 4 tech guys at all times. And it was great because one guy did like the little box thing.
Yep.
Make sure
And
your
that's the way it should be.
car's right. One guy did like battery voltage, and I think he made blinky, and then a guy did ride height, and somebody did like the wing size and then the angle. So it was like just real quick, you go through in like 60 seconds as long as you weren't fumbling around and your car was actually right, and then you could go up. They had the things up there the whole time, and they were like, you can come through and use them anytime you want. You know,
Yeah.
just make sure it's right. Like they're right
Yeah.
here. Just use it. Like
Yeah.
use it and use the like. Don't do anything weird. Use the lines that are provided in the rule books. You know, use the scale. Everyone's scale is different. Everyone's voltmeter is different. So you got to go up there
Yes.
with the charged battery. You got to check the battery. You got to go up there and you check the weight. And then you
Right.
got to go put the car through tech one time full. Like just do
Right.
the full thing, and then boom, you're good. Or
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I'm 1 gram over. Let me go put 5 grams in this car because this thing is gonna be a problem,
Yeah.
and you're gonna go through your main, and your tires lost a gram or whatever, or the
Right.
scale's like slightly different by a gram, and then you got people arguing. Just put 5 grams in the car.
Right. You know,
You're not
and-
Lewis Hamilton. Settle down.
yeah, I know exactly. One simple thing that I always liked, the way Island Speedway does tech, and yeah, Austin saying, and we are cutting it really close on weight, Austin, but I added that extra 5 grams that Zach's talking about, and that puts my mind at ease. But Island Speedway, they just simply put a colored circle on the windshield of your car for that round after you pass tech. Okay, simple, right? A lot of people hated it because you're putting this on my painted body. Well, they're putting it on the windshield. Quit being a bougie bitch. But it was a simple way to tell that you've been through tech and that you passed tech. It was really easy.
No, that's great.
And it's like something that simple could have been implemented.
Yeah, and you can get like the super cheap ones that are like probably a penny a piece or something. You buy, a couple hundred
Yeah,
of them,
right. Right.
and you got different colors for different rounds. Pretty simple stuff.
Anyways, we've been going for a while now. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, if you are tired of some shit that's going on in RC, you want to do better in RC, like go help out the freaking governing body that's trying to make things better.
Yeah.
I'm the Aurora Region 5 representative. I have my own business. I have a 10-month-old child. I have a wife. I have my own house.
Yeah.
I have other hobbies. I have to, well, not even hobbies. I have to go to the gym because I'm an insane person and I need to get that demon out.
Yep.
I want to see my family and friends.
Yeah.
I want to do all these things. But you know what? I care about RC, so I'm going to donate about an hour a week.
Yep.
Excuse me, to try and benefit RC. Now, that doesn't mean that every week I get to, I'm not building the Empire State Building of RC here. I'm trying to make it better for everyone.
Right.
And I can't do anything by myself, but us together, we can, build something really cool.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? do you guys like racing RC cars? Do you
Yeah.
guys think like what's going on right now is awesome in RC? Do you think nothing needs changed? Like we have so many RC cars out there in the non-RC car world. I bet like 95, 90, I don't know, some huge percentage isn't racing in the RC industry. Those people like RC cars, but we
Yeah.
can't get to them.
Right.
And
I want.
the ones that do come over say, this sucks. I have to buy all this stuff that's stupid. And then I don't get, and oh, also my driving skills aren't good. And I got to deal with freaking Joe Zaire Jr. putzing around in the Slash class, taking me out for the sixth time because I'm just trying to
Whoa,
get around the track.
get the fuck out of my way.
I'm getting you a hard time.
I
But
know.
there's so many barriers to entry, and nobody's taking their hand when they come in and being nice.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, dudes, come on. Everyone help me out here just a little bit. If you like racing, you see somebody coming to the track, say hi. Say, how's it
Yeah.
going?
Dude, I do that all the time.
What we have now is a system for the racers, not for the regular people.
Yes.
Like RC racing is super interesting,
Yes.
but we made it for ourselves. We didn't make it for like the regular people. We didn't make football. Football would look way different if it was for the players than it
Yeah.
is if it's for the spectators.
Bro,
The
I just gotta
spectators,
say, I gotta change the
ah,
subject. I gotta
okay.
change the subject. And I just got a text from the Airbnb lady, a text telling me to check the 3-ring binder.
What's her name? Is it Karen?
No, this is gonna be a problem. Oh,
Just
this.
say I will look at the. Just tell her she wants it.
I
Did you
did.
come? Did you confirm?
Yes.
Did you type back?
Yes.
I confirmed this
2 or
via
3
email.
times.
Did you receive it? Question mark. Did you
2
receive
or
my
3 times.
confirmation email?
2 or 3 times I confirmed, and she wrote back, "Awesome."
I don't know, man. Ask her. Ask her. When you get there, she's gonna be there. You know she's gonna be there. Be like, hey,
Yeah.
what's with all this? You text me 12 times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, Doug makes a good point. There's a mentor program with the MNRC to where you can privately go to people in the Minnesota Nitro Series and be like, hey, I need help. And there's mentors who are really, really solid drivers who have been doing it for years and can help people that can get their vehicles generally set up and to help with their general driving. You know,
I
right?
think that's great.
It is.
Like I a lot of what I mean, that's great. You got somebody in the track that's asking for help.
Yep.
But
And they
like
do
we
it.
need to get those people into the track to
Yep.
start.
What's nice is they're able to do it privately. What was cool about, so we did that parking lot race in my town, and there was a crap ton of people sitting along the bank of grass watching the races, and about 5 people came up just to me alone asking me about it because they thought I was running it because I was helping announce a little bit. And people were coming up and asking. I'm like, hey, what we're doing here is a great way to start. And I was explaining things, and I brought my fifth scale with just to put on display, just to show the stark contrast. I'm like, don't even worry about this. This is just a showpiece. It's cool to look at. And then at the end of the day, I started it, and I saw a little kid jump 10 feet in the air because it's so loud. But yeah, and that's the thing too. It's grassroots racing like that also gets people into racing, getting it in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, Theodore says he just needs to stay away from RC auctions. No, I think you need to buy more, but you should buy racing gear instead.
But
Oh,
if I'll throw this out there. So whatever. If the 12 people or whoever's watching this, I don't know how many people watch this there.
Yeah. Well, more people listen. We get about,
Okay.
believe it or not, we get about 5 to 10,000 downloads a week.
Oh wow. All right.
But a
Well, if
lot
you're
of it's
one of
out of
those,
country. We're like number
oh,
one in Malaysia. It's weird.
all right. Well, if you, that's super weird. Okay, if you see me at a track and you need help with something, come up to me. Come say hi. Come. I don't know. You got any questions? You don't have any questions. You just want to come say hi. I'll say hi and I'll shoot the shit with you.
Yeah.
You see me thrashing on my car, don't come over. It's not a
Yeah.
good time to
Yeah.
talk. I'll tell you it's not a good time to talk.
Yep.
But if I'm just hanging out, like working on my car a little bit, doing whatever, talking, come over, come say hi. You got
Yep.
a questions, you need help. I don't know everything. I
Yeah.
don't know I don't think I know much, but I can get you like in the general, like I can get you started. I can help you
Yeah.
with some driving stuff a little bit. I can go drive your car. I know people who know what's going on. Like
Right.
at the very least, we can like I get you like a base something to get fixed in,
Yes.
so if you guys need help, number one, it sucks to ask for help, but you know what? We all got to start somewhere. So just start. Like, who cares? Like, we all
I mean,
suck. So,
every once in a great while, and I do it more so in oval because I'm super new to oval, and setup stuff is very strange in oval. But I swallow my pride every once in a while and like carpet off road. I'm like, dude, I'm stuck. I need a little bit more corner speed here and there. Like Kyle Holmberg, who was in here earlier, he's the Region 7 Team Associated team manager. And he I mean, that guy, he gets bombarded with questions all day. And I feel so bad when I have to ask him a question, but he's never a dick. He's always willing to help, and I it's weird to me, and I know it happens, but Minnesota is that racing community to where nobody's gonna talk down at you, and everybody's gonna be cool if you go and ask somebody for help. But I know it's not like that all over in the country. It's just weird to me. I
mhm.
don't know.
Well, and we could talk about that. That's a whole other subject. But I
It's a
think,
whole other subject.
the wrong mindset is that you have to swallow your pride because I go talk to the drivers that are, mind you, both worse and better than me.
Yeah.
Like, just because they can't drive very well doesn't mean that they don't have good knowledge.
Right. No, absolutely. And
Like,
then
that's a different thing.
there's guys like my dad who aren't fast anymore, but they used to be fast, but they have that mind to where I ask my dad questions constantly. Like, I'm like, all right, it's hicking up in the entrance of this corner and this corner, but it's good here, here, and here. What would you change? And he'll sit and think for 15 minutes and he'll give me 2 or 3 things to try. And it's usually correct. You know what I mean?
And I mean, so, like, I think together we can all go faster. And, like,
Yeah.
again, if those people are thrashing on their car, they're having a bad day or whatever,
Yeah.
like, you know, it's, I've said this, I was talking to Brian Eller, who's a Wisconsin racer.
Yeah.
And he said I was like the last race we raced together. He said I was really positive and everything. Like he was really surprised because I wasn't normally like I'm never like negative, but I was like really go
Well, you get
upbeat
lost
and
you get lost in your own world when you're racing. Racing is kind of a selfish thing.
but what I was gonna say is it's really easy to be positive when everything's going your way. Like
It
when
is.
like I was killing it. I had just an amazing weekend. Everything was going my way.
Mhm.
I didn't break. I had like 6 or 7 perfect runs within perfect for me. And, everything was going really good. And
Right.
so, yeah, of course, I'm going to be in a great mood.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you know what? When you're in the fucking G main and you're sucking, it's hard to be positive.
It is.
But
But
that's okay.
and it's funny too though. Sometimes you can just be like, we've both been racing long enough now to where, well, it's just not my week and I'm off this week. Or, oh
Mhm.
my God, there's something seriously wrong with my equipment and I'm gonna frickin' lose my shit.
Well, you got two options.
Yeah.
Um, I like you know what? All right, I'm taking my car apart piece by piece. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna have a pile on my table. I'm not racing this weekend because it's
Yeah.
obvious I don't deserve to be on that track.
Right.
Um, I'm gonna figure out whatever I didn't figure out at home preparing for this race because I
Yeah.
took this thing apart then. What's going on?
Right.
And it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
But
It is. Matt Del Judas saying, yeah, you're on point at King of the Road.
you just get lucky. Like I don't know how else to
Yeah.
say that. I don't think I think just everything worked perfectly for
Some,
me that weekend.
sometimes things, yeah, dude, there's no better feeling when things click. And then usually you go out the next weekend and you try to push it and it just falls apart.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what about last weekend? Come on.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
All right.
yeah,
I think
man.
that's it for me, Joe.
We're gonna have a ton of talk about next time. We're gonna have the INS to talk about. We're gonna have
Hmm.
an MNRC round to talk about, I believe, because MNRC is coming up the weekend of July 19th of mine and my wife's birthday. We share the same birthday. It's her birthday now. But there's, I told her to. I'm like, you know what? When we got married, I'm like, you know what? It's your birthday. Please don't buy me things. I'll buy you things. I just, you get over it when you hit a certain age. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm Joser Jr., and with me was Zach Donathan, and we have ran out of talent. Have a good night, guys.